Hello, Magic is Real family. Thank you so much for being here. I am very happy to have with me today Jason Janas to talk about his near-death experience, his out-of-body experiences, and the insights that he has gleaned from these experiences, how they've changed his life. Jason, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm truly honored. Thank you.
Me too. I heard your story. You have so much beautiful wisdom to share. So I'd like to start by talking about you, your background, how you grew up, what your spiritual beliefs may have been,
Mhm.
wherever you'd like to start.
Sure. I was born in 1970, Generation X here.
I'm Gen X too.
So,
Yeah,
well, then you know what I'm talking about when I
yeah,
say
the
Gen
best
X.
generation.
That's right.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, we could take care of, the house and cook and clean by age 7. We were given
yeah.
keys and good luck. But anyway, so I was born in 1970. I'm 53. I've got a couple of kids, 2 daughters. One is 17, one is 31. I know, big age difference. I'm educated, 3 degrees, bachelor of science degrees. Um, I grew up Christian, not from my parents, but from my grandparents. My grandmother was very religious. She was Catholic. So I went through you know, all the catechisms, all everything. And I firmly believed in the Bible. I firmly believed that the Bible was God's, word, his breath. Believed in heaven, believed in hell. And, I grew up with that ideology my whole life. But by the time I was 7, I was abused. And we don't need to really get into that too much. But, I was like, God must not love me because, this really isn't cool. So by the time I was 7, I quit church. I quit going to church. I quit. My grandmother would wake me up and say, "Hey, come on, it's time to go to church." And I wouldn't go. I abandoned God. I abandoned Jesus. And I said, "I'm a man, bang on my chest. I can do this. I got it. No, I don't need you. I don't need any of that." And I went through my life, especially my, youth and then into teenage years, a very angry, kid, very angry teenager, very angry 20s, and going through life and stuff. Just going through life, had kids, first marriage, wife passed away, got married again, had another kid. Just going through life thinking that this is what it is. Then on April 2nd of 2020, my life ended. Came home from work. This is when COVID took place. So it's April 2nd of 2020. And we had a big meeting at work and talked about COVID and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm invincible. And I'm not even going to worry about this. Came home that night, sat down, started eating, had trouble breathing. So I went to take a bite of my sandwich and I just coughed up blood, bright red blood, like somebody had taken a knife, slit my throat. It was bright red blood and it just covered the whole plate. And I'm like, first thing that came to mind was like, wow, that tastes terrible. And why am I coughing up so much blood? And I'm like, that stopped. I'm like, so I took another bite. So I'll go to take another bite, and then it just kept coming. It just blood, coughing, and I'm wheezing now because I'm trying to breathe and I can't. So I'm panicked, like, okay, I can't breathe. So I started FaceTiming my ex-wife. She's a nurse. She's an RN. So I'm like, well, so she finally answered the phone. And really, I tried to say something to her. Blood went all over the phone. And she freaked out. And I said, I'm going to go lay down. I just don't feel good. And the last thing I ever remember hearing was like, "Jason, don't. If you lie down, you're going to die." I said, "I'm tired. I can't breathe. I'm just going to go rest. I'll be all right." And it's the last thing I remember. Next thing I know, I wake up in the hospital. It's dark now. My hands and feet are strapped to the bed. I have a tube down my throat, IV in my neck, oxygen in the nose. And as I'm coming up and I'm waking up or whatever, I immediately turn to the left And up in the corner of the room, when I say immediately, from the time my eyes open and I got a glance, I immediately went to the left because my ICU room was big. I mean, there was a couch, there were a couple chairs way in the back, kind of wrapped around with a like a little mini fridge. But up in the left-hand corner was the TV. And I'm staring right at the TV. People are in my way, and I'm doing one of these numbers to. I can't see anything, but I feel it. Like I feel, and the only way to say it is love. Is I feel this presence, and it's stronger than all the doctors, nurses in the room. It was pulling me towards it. It was just familiar, and it never wavered. It never disappeared. And for the whole month that I was in the ICU, that presence was there. And at some point in time, I don't know how many days had passed. One of the nurses came in, and I'm staring at the TV, and she's like, "Jason, do you want me to turn the TV on?" And I can't talk. And I'm like, "No." And I'm like, how do you tell somebody that there's someone standing right here, 5 feet away? There's someone here. They think I was nuts. They'd lock me up, and I'm like, it was driving me nuts. So fast forward for the month, it's the end of April. I've begun to recover. They took the tube out. They took out the oxygen and the IV, and they had left the room. Now, in this time, I had lost 75 pounds from being on the ventilator. Um, so I was very lethargic. No one's in the room. It was a nice summer or spring day, and I had no energy, and I got up onto my elbows and I was shaking uncontrollably. And I instantly started to sob. I mean, instantly. And I said, "God, please." Now, mind you, I grew up Christian my whole life from my grandparents. That they took me to CCD, Catholic school for 2 years, went through all the sacraments, did the whole thing. But I left the church when I was 7 years old. Something didn't sit right with me. Something was like, why is God waiting up there just to send me to hell because I said, "God damn it," or, I said a bad word or whatever. It's something just didn't seem right, and being abused as a kid, it was just like, clearly you don't love me. Clearly you want no part of my existence, and that's fine. I'll do this on my own. And I quit going to church. I quit having a conversation with God. It was over 42 years. Now we're going to fast forward back to the hospital room, and I cried out to God for the first time in over 42 years. I cried out to God, sobbing, and I was begging him to please not let me die. Please, I said, please. I said, "I'm sorry for abandoning you and Jesus." I said, "I never doubted your existence, but I never had a relationship with you. And I said, for that, I am truly sorry. I love you both with all my heart. Please forgive me for abandoning you." And I went in, said, "Please don't take my daughters from me. Please let me see my kids again. Please." Sobbing. I said, I love my daughters. Please let me see them one more time, please." And I started to talk about somebody else, how much I love them. And it was in that moment that when I tell this story, everything that I tell you took place within a trillionth of a second. That's how fast. Here in the physical world, we have what you call time. It does not exist on the other side. So I'm calling out to God, and I'm crying out to this TV. Within a trillionth of a second, all time stopped. I was out of my body. I was now above my body, above the bed. And how do I know this? Because now my gaze, even though I'm looking straight, I'm looking down on the grass. I can see every blade of grass. And it was moving independent, kind of like an octopus. They were all moving independently, and I could see their soul, and I could see the tree's soul, and they were both so happy to see me. I could feel their love. It's like they turned towards me. It's hard to describe, but it's like they turned and they knew who I was, and they were bestowing all of their love on me. I'm wrapped in God's arms. I'm young again. And I was instantly energized. I mean, it's like I stuck my finger into the universe's battery pack and I was like, "Ugh." I was instantly juiced. And I was like, oh, I'm young again. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, I said without verbal, it was here, it was a thought. I was like, I'm home. But it was more of a shocked because I knew I shouldn't have been there. I'm like, I'm home. And I'm like, I'm thinking I'm not supposed to be here, and I started to feel unworthy because of all the things that I have said and done in my life. I wasn't a good man. I wasn't a good person. I had no love or empathy for anything or anyone but myself. And I had no business being embraced by God. But this is the information that was given to me. So as I'm feeling unworthy, more love was bestowed on me. And the guiltier I felt, the more love that was given to me. And it was as warm as the sun. It was like I was picked up, placed about 10 feet in a river. And when you place your hand in a river, you feel the water hit it and then it moves around. Okay. This love flowed through me. Okay. And it was as warm as the sun, and it was a river of love. Warm river of love. It never stopped, it never faltered, it never wavered. It was unconditional love. And I was home. And the next thing I said was, what a beautiful day to die. Like I had done it thousands of times and come to find out that I have. But after that, and again, how long this took, I could have been there 5 hours, 30 seconds. I don't know. I'm just enveloped in this love and light, and a presence showed up. So even though I'm still looking at the TV, it's hard to describe because now I'm looking at I can see everything. So there is no, like your eyes, they don't move. They just what you see. So even though I'm looking at you, I can still see all the cars. I can tell you what the interior looks like, but without ever turning my gaze to you. So when I say you see everything, I'm still seeing things behind me. I'm still seeing the I see. You see everything. There is no limitation to your sight. So I'm wrapped up in this love and light, and then my gaze turned that way, and it was Jesus. And it was even more love. I mean, it was so much love. To put it into a human perspective, it would be like somebody covering your mouth and nose at the same time and holding it for like a minute and then giving you a 1/10 of a second to get as much air as you can and to hold that's how much love it was. And it was flowing through every part of my being. It's who I was. I was the light. I was the love. And it was the most beautiful thing I have ever experienced. And again, I'm just wrapped up in it. Then I felt these two big hands. It was one and then two. And then it began slowly pushing me back down and then into my body. And then I felt myself being pushed down onto the bed. And then I was instantly out. Instantly. For how long? I have no idea. But I was, as soon as my head hit that pillow, I was out. I had nurses, when I did wake up, they were waking, Jason, 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 you know, and I looked towards the TV, gone. And I'm like, what was that? And they're trying to talk to me, and I'm like, we need you to take no more meds. I need everybody to leave. I can't talk, but it's like I'm writing frantically down on paper because I can't talk. So I scribbled some stuff. I said, just leave. And everybody left. And um, A couple days later, I left the hospital and went home. And in that process, because I was so lethargic and losing 75 pounds, I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to talk. I had to learn how to eat and drink again. My company, they fired me. They said, don't ever come back here. Like a month later, I went to my pastor. I needed to talk to somebody because I live by myself. I'm single. I don't have friends or family. So I'm like, I was like, what better way to go? Let's talk to a father. So I tell him, he says, please come in and talk. So as we're sitting there talking, he's sitting there and he's like, and I'm like, why? I'm sobbing, I'm crying, because I'm an emotional wreck. Even now, I'm still an emotional wreck. And basically what happened is he excommunicated me. He refused phone calls. He refused emails. He basically didn't want me showing up to church anymore. And when I got home, I was like, I told you what I tell you, what I tell you. Nobody's going to believe me. People are going to think I'm nuts. I'm a drug addict or a loser. And you picked the wrong person. You picked the wrong person for whatever this was. And what was proven to me in that meeting, because I heard this thing in my head, like, go to church, talk to. So I go listening, and it was just the affirmation of what I already knew to be true, which was I did nothing wrong. There is no such thing as hell. Good, bad, right, or wrong doesn't exist. That this is nothing more than a playground. Nothing here on earth is real. This is all a simulation, a dream. The Matrix, if you like Keanu Reeves, okay? This is not real. And when that became so absolutely clear, and that I also realized in the hospital, in the ICU, that I was never alone. My guides, Jeffrey or John, that I call him, my guardian angel is Archangel Michael. I've had 2 meetings with him, and God is with you 24/7. And I get into some other things as well as Jesus is concerned, and home, but that I had done nothing wrong. Nothing. I was doing exactly what I came here to do. And what I want people to know mostly out of my experience is, one, how loved you are. Okay. You are loved more than you could ever possibly know. And to try and put it into words using our language and our linear vocabulary does it injustice. There's nothing out there that can describe the love and how loved you are. And 2, fear is an illusion. Fear does not exist. God is love, God is light, and God is energy. I am love, I am light, and I am energy. You are love, you are light, and you are energy. What does that remind you of? Or who is that? God. So I realized who I am, where I come from. And more knowledge comes to me every single day. I've had 2 years after my NDE, I had my first out of body experience. Like I said, a couple months after, and I'll get into my out of body in a minute, but like a month after, I was very depressed when I got home. Very, very depressed, because you can't go from having experienced what I experienced to coming back to this. It was brutally difficult. Like I said, my company fired me. I was financially in serious trouble. Health wise, I'm was dead. So now I'm recovering. So everything like in the world was set against me. So I was struggling one day, and I'm like talking to God, and I'm having these conversations like you and I are talking. They're all the time. I'm like, you picked the wrong person. Okay, should have picked the Pope, an Archbishop, somebody, because I'm wasn't. You picked the wrong person, and it was a clear voice, and it was a clear answer, and it was, these will be God's exact words when I said you should have picked somebody worthy, and it was, you are worthy. You are my son. And when I heard those words, I dropped down to my bed. And this is the first time that I have done this, is that I had completely surrendered to God. I dropped to my knees and I said, and I knew this to be true. And why I said it, other than I know it to be true, is that it's like, all that I am you. I am yours. And from that moment, my life just went, phew. God comes before me, before my children, before my grandchildren, before anybody. Um, and above all, God wants you to have fun. We came to earth to have fun. Yes, we came here to have some challenges, to learn some things, but ultimately to have fun. That's why we're here. That's why we are in a physical form. All we know, and I'll give you this. This is a good example. I haven't said it in a while, but this would be a perfect, because it gives perspective on who we are and what this is, a human. So when I said God is love, God is light, and God is energy, we are love, light, and energy. So if you close your eyes and you think of this, think of the most beautiful white that you have ever seen. Okay, and you walk into this room, the walls are that color white, the ceiling is that color white, and the floor is that color white. Okay, the most beautiful, the most purest white you have ever seen. Now you're in that room too, and you're the exact same color white. How do you know you're white? You don't, because that's all you know. All we know is love, unconditional love. You know everybody on this planet intimately, as well as I do, when we're home. Here, the illusion is we're separate. We're not. We're all one. We're all one. Okay. The difference with Jesus is Jesus understood that, and why God chose him to come here at that specific time, because Jesus was further along in his journey than we were. And that's okay. So when he was asked to come here for this reason, he simply came here to wake us all up. He said, love one another, wake up, realize who you are. You are a God. Realize that. The difference between people calling Jesus a mystic is simply this. Jesus realized he and God are the same. That's why he said to his disciples, Father, let them all know and become one, like you and I are one. Let them become one. So we can all realize we are all one. We're all God. That's why the priest, when I told him that, banished me, because the cat's out of the bag, right? I just took away all his power. You have all these people coming to church. Why? Because Catholicism institutionalized guilt as a virtue.
Mhm.
So the more they keep telling you how unworthy you are and how far away from Christ you are, say, you're right. You know what? Because Jesus isn't my savior. He didn't come down here to save me from my sins. And I'm sorry, but heaven isn't a monarchy. Heaven is a democracy. We all go home. So, I don't want people living in fear. You, I lived in fear for 50 years of my life that I was going to burn in hell from some of the experiences that I had, um, and done, and all of this, all of that. And I was revered. They were happy. I was home. Hi. The trees were happy. The grass was happy. I was feeling love from the universe. So when I tell people my story, I want them and I want everyone to know, one, how important you are, and two, that you have nothing to fear. Death is simply, and when I mean death, it's death of the body. Okay. It's this that dies. And when you transition back home, it is simply the most beautiful experience you will ever have. Nothing compares. You will never find the love of home here on earth. I don't care if you have 5 children, 10 children, doesn't matter. You say you love them, you do anything for them, right? Of course. Well, that love that you have, if you took every mother's love and then added it by 1 trillion, it would still equal an F. There's nothing that can compare to the love that exists when we're home. Nothing. It is simply a beautiful transition. And yes, when we arrive home, we are revered by all of heaven, by all of heaven. And it's simply a different dimension. That's all it is. It's right now, it could be between you and I, or it could be between you and a coworker. It's just a different timeline, a different universe going up and down, sideways, doesn't matter. All of your past lives and all of your future lives are playing out right now, just different galaxies, different, you know, not time zones, but dimensions. So it's all here on Earth, we're in the physical. So everything goes by slow. Like, why is it going by so slow? It's because it's physical, where if you've heard other NDEs, which I know you have, everybody has said, you know, that all that took place could have taken place in 5 hours or 5 seconds. I don't know. Again, with me, everything that I just described took place before you could finish a thought. And that's how fast everything took. And it was, like I said, it's profoundly changed my life. I used to be materialistic. I used to chase money. I used to chase all the wrong things. And now I chase love. I chase peace. I chase serenity, and I will do or help anyone any way I can, because I want them to know how important they are to what's going on in this earth right now, and how loved you are, and that you have done nothing wrong. You will never do anything wrong. And, and that's why I tell my story. I really want to help others not be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, it's so hard to accept that when you see that we really are all love. We're blobs of light and love and energy. And then we come down
Right.
here and we don't love ourselves,
Nope.
or we choose these destructive paths or these violent paths or whatever else it is. And because we have to learn our own lessons, I suppose.
Well, we're all actors and actresses. Really, what's taking place down here is we're all role playing. So, okay, I want to get my hand blown off. Will somebody blow off my hand? No, no, no. We want to experience things. Remember the white room? All we know is love. Everything that we experience down here, we're experiencing because we wanted to. This isn't God saying, Jason, this is going to be your life. No, this is what I chose. Why? Because we can learn more in one lifetime than we could at home 30,000 decades. We can learn more in one lifetime than we could be taught what it feels like to be slapped. We don't know until you get slapped, and it's not very fun, or what it's like to be intimate with your partner and stuff. Like, we don't know what that stuff is. So we come down here. This is like the crown jewel. Earth is like the hardest place, one of the top 3 hardest places to incarnate into. Why? One, we have no recollection of home. And 2, it's sometimes not very fun getting hit by a car or shot or stabbed or whatever you're going through, being sick. It's not fun. But we come down here so we can have these experiences, and this is how we grow. Jesus did the same thing,
Yeah.
did the exact same thing we did.
Right. And when you talk about, I'd love to hear you share about your experiences where you were told that you lived 3,200 times before.
Yes. Okay. I think it was the night. This was my second out of body experience. So the night was it the Super Bowl? I don't know. Was it with playoffs? Damar Hamlin had the heart attack. He got hit or made a hit, and it went down. And basically, that is right when my out of body experience. I was just kind of meditating. I was just in the right place. I was so relaxed, and next thing you know, poof, I went out of my body, and I was walking on the beach, and I can just see this beautiful sun, and there's just peace. You just, people don't understand, like, when you leave this world, the peace and serenity that occurs when you go back home into a different dimension. There's no chaos, there's no sound, it's so peaceful. So anyways, I'm walking, I'm looking at this, and then Jeffrey was there, and he was my guide. And I started laughing. I said, Jeffrey, man, I said, if you knew anything about Earth, you know that's the Toys R Us giraffe. And I cannot call you Jeffrey, man, but I will call you John. I said, so John, and I said, John, how many times have I died? How many times have I been here? And this number instantly popped into my head. It was given to me. He's 3,200, over 3,200. And I was like, wow. And the next word that he not spoke, but telepathically, was, you're ancient. And I'm like, ancient? That really surprised me. So when I came back into my body, and I'm just open my eyes on the couch, and I'm watching the football game again, I'm like, ancient? What does that mean? Like ancient world, like the ancient Greeks? And no, that's not what it was. I ran into somebody a couple months later, and he was listening to my interview, and he wanted to say something. He goes, Jason said, the reason your guide called you ancient is because of how many times you have been here on Earth, meaning that you have been here, well over 2,500 times. Because we don't start out on Earth. It's too hard. We'd never make it. If we were to come here as our first incarnation, we'd end up killing ourselves. So we incarnate in other galaxies, other planets, where we still feel connected to home. Okay, we're no longer who we truly are. We're in a body, but we still feel home. So we still feel God. We still feel the angels and home. We're just on a different. So it's kind of like getting our feet wet. So when you come to Earth, you kind of battle hardened. So that's what he meant by that. He was like, you've been coming here for a very long time, and you're helping Earth as well as others transition. You're kind of like a light worker, where he explained, your work is really important to others. And the fact that you're here right now means a great deal to Father, because you're here to help, as you know, or may have heard, that Earth is going through a transition, as we are. We're moving from 3D to 5D. So we're here helping the Earth transition and grow, as well as our evolution as humans. You know, when I say our evolution, because it's not necessarily my soul, you know, whatever soul is coming into the world today is here for a very specific reason. And during this time, there are thousands and thousands and trillions of souls that are waiting to come to earth, that are wanting to come to earth. And Father is saying, no, no, only those right now that have the most experience on earth can come, because they are vital to its transition and to others, helping them transition. So being here on earth right now is extremely important. Don't think for 1 minute that, you know, it's just another day. Your life, your reason for being here is vital, vital. And the fact that you're here, God handpicked you out of those that were chosen to come during your time period. You're the one here. They were not allowed to come. So it's a very important time right now in Earth's transition and our transition as a species.
Yeah, can you elaborate on that when you talk about the fact that we're going from 3D to 5D, what exactly that means?
Yeah, it's basically two-dimensional. You know, we can see two-dimensionally, right? So now we're going to 5D. What that means is we are evolving. We're becoming smarter. Okay. So when you evolve, you don't evolve down the ladder, right? And become dumber, animals, species, or whatever. We're a species, we're humans. So we're evolving. So we're going to look a little different, you know, but we're going to become much, much smarter. So, you know, you're people are like, well, why? We're going through all of this, all these school shooting, and all that. It's meant to happen. All these things that are taking place right now are meant to happen. We are learning, we're evolving, and they're there for a reason. So those that have chosen to die in a mass shooting or whatever, it's for a reason. They're sacrificing themselves for a greater purpose. Okay. So as these things are unfolding, we are becoming smarter. So that's basically what that transition from 3D to 5D means. You know, and in that transition, we could eat and drink a lot less food. We don't need to. We're smarter. We don't need to, you know, think as much because we know more. So, you know, any number of things in that transition could be, but it's generally we are going to be much smarter. So you're going to see, you know, rapid advancements in technology is going to, you're going to see a big advancement in technology, you know. So
It
it's
already
coming.
feels like, yeah, it feels like it's already there when you think about AI and when you think about computers and the fact that we're Gen X, we didn't have computers. In our lifetime, we did not grow up with phones, computers, I mean, cell phones. We had the
No.
phones attached by a wire, and we didn't all the stuff that has emerged in our lifetime, and we're not even old. It's like,
Right. Do you remember
yeah,
being on the phone? Okay, I'm going to leave now. Ready? One, two, three. Because once you hung up that phone and
yeah,
started riding your bike, there was no stop, get out your. No, you had to
no,
get to that destination and hope there was a payphone around
I
to
know.
try and call them to see if they're home.
I can't tell you how many times we just never met up because we lost each other somewhere. Saturday night, let's all go meet at the Dairy Queen, and somebody didn't get the message or the memo, and then we're driving around looking for the person the whole night, which made it
Right.
kind of fun. It was like Dazed and Confused. It was like a whole
Right. What a great
adventure on a
movie.
Saturday
Right.
night. Like, where's the party? And we didn't have maps, so it was like, here's
Yeah. You
grab your
know,
Thomas guide if you want to get to a party.
it's like, you know, when you pull out the map of Wisconsin. Where are
Yeah,
we? What little town? So then it's like if you were to give a Gen Z or a modern millennial a map, they'd be, what's this for?
I know.
But it's like, well, when I was a kid in 1970, I was reading the map so my dad could travel across the country. You didn't
Yeah,
have an iPhone to Google Map.
yeah.
You know, it's like you
So
guys,
much has happened.
yes,
I
you
got
know,
pulled over because I was using Google Maps that I had to print out from and this was later, but print out Google Maps routing, and I was looking at it and I got pulled over for distracted driving, and I was like, I'm looking at the directions. So even just in that maybe wasn't even that long ago, like 15 years ago. So the fact that we're advancing the way that we are with even like hovercrafts and ways of traveling and these um, Concords and stuff like that. The fact that we can fly fast, and that to me feels like super intelligence, because I know we're smart and I know we've learned a lot, but it's like, where does that a computer chip does all this, like a tiny little thing? It's incredible.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, does Star Trek and Star Wars exist? Do they
Well,
exist?
do they exist?
Do they exist? Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
of
wasn't
course.
yeah.
Because there's right in our galaxy, there are hundreds of thousands of inhabitable planets that are inhabited. Okay. There are some civilizations like Star Trek and Star Wars that exist.
Yeah.
They're they're out there. Yes, Star Wars exists. There are some civilizations that haven't even invented the wheel.
Right. And then you think
Okay.
about how they have these hearings about the UFO stuff,
Mhm.
and it really seems to be coming to the movies that we grew up on. It was like alien comes to Earth, is misunderstood. The government wants to kill it because it thinks it's evil, but really it's here to help us. And there's like the protagonist, which is like Elliot and ET, who understands that that alien is there to love, is just there with this heart. Turn on your hot light. It's like, and then, but
Right.
really, but the government wants to like, you know, take it and analyze it and dissect it. And it's actually the truth, from what I understand too, is that these extraterrestrials are actually here to help us evolve. But there's a
They
lot of, yeah,
they can't actually interfere with us. But are we being watched by, a higher intelligence? Absolutely, we are. They're
yeah,
not allowed to interfere. Like we're not allowed to interfere on another species advancement or whatnot. If they haven't invented the wheel, they're going to have to learn somehow, right? That's how you learn. That's how you evolve. Okay, they're not going to come here and help us, or interfere or kidnap us or come here and do all. It's not
yeah.
allowed.
They're not
It's not
probing
allowed.
us.
No, they don't have to. They know they're far more advanced than us. And who are they related to as well? God.
Hmm.
They're just we think of them as alien, right?
Yeah. They think
Okay.
of us as alien, I'm sure.
Right. Well, because I can guarantee you, I know you have, is that same gray alien that you always see on, horror movies. You were one. You started out that way. So there's no doubt in my mind that, we're being watched. That's by the Pleiadians for one. Absolutely. A much higher advanced people, a humanoid looking, I should say, species. So yes, we're being
Yeah.
watched.
Are they in
You know,
another, to your, as you understand it, are they in another dimension, or do they exist on another planet, another place, or is it
another
more
planet.
like, yeah,
Yeah, just like us, we're humans on Earth, right?
mm-hmm,
So they're just the Pleiadians or however you want to call them. They have their own, well, they're like Star Wars. They're far more advanced than us. So yeah, they watch us. We were almost, from what I understand, we were almost exterminated in the mid 80s. So when we were teenagers in the 80s, we almost were kaput. We were at a tilting point of Earth ain't going to make it, man, or we're not going to. And then we pulled a miracle. We turned it around, and we've been going up and up and up. And right now we're continuing that trend of going up and up and up to our, evolution. And everybody's going to, nobody will be left out, from the newborn to person sitting in Biloxi, Mississippi at 105 years old. Doesn't matter. We're all going to evolve. So, the best way is to just, I've had it easier. I've had the NDE, but my belief system is that of I live in no fear. Fear does not exist. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of walking out, being shot or run over, or I know where I am. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know what I'm going to experience. And death is a beautiful transition. It is just the death of your body. That is it. Your existence is eternal, and you will travel through a different time wormhole to a different dimension, and you will be home.
Yeah.
You will be home. And you
Yeah.
have no love of, that's what people, people like, you love your body, and I don't want my body to, it's like I had no, when I saw it, was like throwing out an old shirt. I felt nothing for it, nothing at all. It was no different than me taking an old shirt, throwing it in the garbage, and grabbing a new one and putting it on. That's how we come here. We wear a body. That's how we
Yeah.
get along and around down here. We're just simply wearing a body. When that body is done or is worn out, we get rid of it, toss it
Right.
out, go home, come back again. That's
Yeah.
it. We just wear a body.
Right. When you talk about those souls that want to come down and
Mhm.
whoever decides, I don't know who that is, but they say, well, no, it's these souls that need to go. What do you think are sort of the criteria for us coming down here?
Well, right now, let's if we were to take out Earth's evolution, the five, going to five, so we'll just take out that whole thing.
Yeah.
What you do basically is you make up a contract. I call it a contract. You've heard many NDs say, you have to return. You're not done yet.
Yeah.
You still have things to do. Um, so I call it a contract. You could be sitting around a campfire with your besties in the mountains, having fun, and then you get up and say, I'm going to Earth. They'd be like, see ya. Go find your guides. And you sit down and say, this is what I want to experience. This is what I want to do. This is who I want to help. Get it all set up, right? You go around asking your friends or go up there, hey, I need somebody to do this for me. Can you do this? Can you do that? And so you create your life here, right? You create it. You build that contract. Okay. Now you're just not born here. Okay. Mom and dad just didn't have a quickie in the bathroom and you were here. No, no, no. So now you take that and you go before Father. And be like, okay. You might even say, it's going to be hard, right? Yeah, I know, but I can do it. And bouncing off the clouds and, doing one of those things. Or just, okay, but how about in this case, we're going to throw in an NDE, right? Because this is going to bring you back to your purpose on why you wanted to come. So I'm going to allow you, I'm using me as an example, I'm going to allow you to have fun, do your thing, do whatever it is you want to do for 49 years. That when that NDE comes, that's the end of the old Jason, beginning of the new, and this is the new direction you're going to go. And it did its job. It it did its job. I wasn't a good person. Like I said, it's all about me. What's in it for Jason? What am I getting? Nah, then you ain't worth my time. Too bad. I just didn't have any love or empathy. So in the moment of my NDE, like I said, that was the end of old Jason. Okay. Now I just experienced, heaven and Father and Jesus and home, seeing all the beautiful colors and all of that. Now I'm here again. And it's just like, I'm looking at somebody I've looked at my whole life, but he's dead. I mean, I didn't even know who I was anymore. He took all my hate, took it all away, gone, took all my anger, gone, filled me with a love that just doesn't exist in the world, and a sense of humility that I have never had in my life, and empathy. I'm It's like when I transitioned, he whoop, took all the crap out and gave some new stuff, and I was like, it was so hard, afterwards. I couldn't even identify with the one person I needed to, which was myself, because he's dead. I don't know who this new person is. I don't. The face is the same, but everything else is different, you know? So it was difficult,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. It's coming back to this hard physical world and there's all the stuff that comes with it. I was actually going to ask you, how do you stay centered when things are difficult, when you are struggling financially, or somebody is a jerk to you, or somebody does something to, you know, hurt you in some way? How now do you not do you literally just not feel the anger? Do you feel compassion immediately, or do you have, or are you just saying, you know what, I choose love?
That's
How do
it.
you face, yeah.
I just choose love. I also know is like, you know what? More than likely, I probably asked him to be an asshole.
Yeah.
So, I'll smile at him. I'll say, hey, I wish you nothing but the best. And Father, forgive him because I already do. I already do.
Right.
So, because I can almost restfully assure that your first instinct when somebody hurts you is to lash back,
Yeah.
or to slap, now instead of doing that, like the old Jason would have, it's like, I forgive you. Yeah, I'm not even
Mhm.
going to waste my time getting angry, you know? And I was like, wow. When that person would then give up, I faced the challenge. The challenge was, well, let's see how you're going to behave. Are
Yeah.
you going to forgive me? Or and it's like, I'm not playing. I know the game. So let's play. You want to play the game? I love you. Best of luck. Doesn't mean I have to be around you.
Yeah.
I don't have to interact with you. I have to forgive you. And I do forgive you. And I've already asked God to forgive you. So go argue with the wall because that's all you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's how I stay centered. I just forgive them because I see the beloved in everybody's eyes. I see God in
Mhm.
everybody. And you may call me a low down, rotten, nasty, mean fucker too, and hate me and spit on me and say, you're just an ugly piece of shit. And I'll say, but you know what? I still love you.
Yeah.
And that's the love that Jesus showed. Why? Because he knew he was God.
Mhm.
Yeah, his body took some lumps and bruises and thrown rocks, but all Jesus showed was love to everyone, including the Romans.
Mhm.
He just showed love. Why? Because he knew he was one with God,
Right.
which we all are. The illusion is that you all create, not me anymore. The illusion is that you think we're all separate. That's the illusion. We're not. Each one of us is tied with like a spider web, a thin web. To each one of us, we are all tethered together. But everybody else thinks we are just 8 billion separate people. We're not.
Right. We're all
We're
part of that
not.
same energy.
We are all one.
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful thing. Even though I'm going through some difficult times right now, financially and health wise, um, it's fear what? Fear death? You don't die. So they take my house away, a car or whatever. Who
Right.
cares? It's a material thing.
Yeah.
I don't care about materialistic things anymore. I need things. I need a house. I need to put a shirt on. Yeah, but I don't need, you know, a 5,000 square foot home. I don't
Right.
need 5 bathrooms. Last time I checked, I can only poop in one toilet at a time. I can only bathe in one shower. I see where my eyes were opened, and it's the love that makes us all so beautiful, where the materialism now doesn't mean anything. the
Yeah.
way it used to. Now it's more of a, it's like I hate even spending money on food or furniture because it's not real. Nothing in this simulation is real. And I wake up knowing that every day,
Yeah.
knowing that this isn't real. And the only thing that I want to do is to help people,
Hmm.
you know, just help. Like you and I are having this conversation, and the conversation you may have, I say, Jay, I had this guy on last night. Listen to this, you know, and then you put the bug in somebody else's ear, and they're like, wow, they may sit and think and ponder for a while. They talk to somebody else, and the wheels on the bus go round and round. That's how change happens.
Right.
That's how change happens. We have to talk, but we have to talk positively. Now, yes, when we say we're all role playing for one another, say I want to rape you or murder you or do one of these things, you have to tell yourself that we don't need to do that. By what I mean is, when I'm out of my body, I am one. I feel home. I'm home. So we're living vicariously, right? Through this avatar. We're still all at home dreaming this, living it vicariously. So when we get home, we have to tell ourselves, listen, man, getting stabbed, that really wasn't fun. It was unpleasant. We don't need to do that again,
Right.
and we need to, we do the same things when we get home. We tell, well, how was that? Man, I'm telling you, that poverty thing, that's a no-go, bro. Don't do that. You know,
Hmm.
so you want so we're living in the same aspect vicariously through ourselves. It's only our part of our soul that is here is our personality. And our personality isn't just from this lifetime, it's through your thousands of years of lifetimes that you've had. Even if you've had, say, 1,200 lives, that's 1,200 and say 58 lives in personalities that you brought into this one. So you see what you're doing. You're evolving as a species, as a soul, as a god. You're
Right.
taking all of these experiences and you're putting them to use. You may not know it, but when you get home, you tell yourself that really wasn't cool. And no, I'm not going to do that to another person, when they want to go down there. We're evolving. We don't see it yet, but we're getting there. It's
Yeah.
coming.
And I know you have explained it, but just overall, how would you sum up what the meaning of life in this life I'm referring to? Being a human on this earth, what is the meaning of life? Why are we here?
We are here to learn, and the meaning of life is to learn that we are love. And that is it. That is what makes the universe grow. That is how we evolve. And it is what we are made out of. So, you know, love is the answer, love is the key. And when I was with Archangel Michael, he mentioned it twice using the exact same word, love. So the meaning of our existence here is to know what a physical life is. Again, imagine the white room. You're white. How do you know you're white? Well, what's blue? I don't know. All I know, this is white. You don't even know you're white because that's all you know. So you come here to experience red, blue, green, yellow.
Mm.
You come here to experience digging in the dirt, taking a shower, watching a movie, eating popcorn, going to work, getting punched, maybe getting shot, stabbed, having some difficulties, having a nice home and a nice family to one day went to work. My wife and children were killed in a car accident. I lost my job, lost my house. We come to experience these things.
Yeah.
We can't get that at home, right? So where do
Right.
we come? We come to the playground. We we create a life. Whoop, we pop in it. You've chosen your death. You've chosen your parents. Okay. So let's get back to what we were talking about before. I'm sorry, I get sidetracked. You have me talking is very therapeutic for me because I relive that experience every second of the day. So being able to talk about it to others is therapeutic. So when you come here, when you've chosen, when you decided, popped up from the campfire, remember, went to your guides, I want to experience this, then you come before Father. And Father says, okay, so now we're wiping out the transition period. From that moment on, now you start watching your parents. Now you know who your parents are because you've been watching them since they were born, since they were inside mom and mom. You watched them grow up. So, next question, why do we pick our parents? Because our parents are the only ones that would give us the best chance at completing our mission. Okay, whatever mission that is, whatever contract you drew up, those are your best shots at getting it done. So then somebody might say, so being molested from the time I was 6 months old till the time I was 12, it's for a reason. Yes, 100%. And that person that you asked, that's your dad, is also a soulmate that you asked for them to do. I just see things. To you and to others, they're going to sound like, no, you're thinking with this, your physical brain, not what you truly are, you know? So you watch your parents. And when it's time, just like in the movie Avatar, when you see him whoop, go into the avatar for the first time, that's us. Boom, there we are.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know that people have trouble with that concept because they think, why would I choose something that horrible? But yeah, so what do you say about that?
I understood why I had such a difficult childhood, why I had the experiences I did. And they were very difficult. I had a very difficult childhood. My grandmother was the one that saved me, and she was a very religious one, but I spent all my summers, all my time off with her. She taught me how to cook, clean, read, everything. My grandmother was everything to me. And she put the work ethic in me, and she taught me, if you're going to do it right, Jason, you do it right the first time. She was just that type of person. She was everything to me. And she did everything in her power to make me succeed, you know. And when I came back off my NDE, I completely understood why I was abused, why I was beaten, why I chose to go through that was so I could sit here and be able to handle my own death, my NDE, and make it crystal clear to me that if I did not have those experiences, I wouldn't have been able to handle it and go forward and become what I needed to be here on earth. I wouldn't have had the resilience, the resolve, the attitude to say, get back up, and do it again. And it was that anger that I held on to for 49 years that was vital to me getting through those situations. And then I had my NDE, and that anger, that hate, all gone, all gone.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible.
people don't understand that because we as a species, we like to label things good, bad, right, or wrong. And we also have a tendency to sit in our pain.
Mhm.
Well, why did I get raped? Why did I lose this? Why did I lose that? Woe is me. And we sit in it and we hold on to it and we never let it go. That's where free will comes in. God's going to say, okay, well, you want to sit in that pain? That's your choice. That's your problem. Okay, go ahead. And that's something I didn't understand until after I died. When I came back, I realized that the past isn't even real, is it? It doesn't exist.
Right.
Go back an hour. You can't.
You can't.
It doesn't exist. And people are chasing the wrong things. They're chasing the future. They're putting all this money. I'm going to buy these big. I'm going to have these. Where's the future? Doesn't exist. Who says you're going to be alive tomorrow at 10 a.m.? I didn't expect to be dead or in the midst of dying at 6 p.m. on April 2nd of 2020. And without me being born in 1970 to have the medical advances necessary to save my life, I'd be dead. I was born at the right time when I needed to be born. So that event could take place.
Right.
It's how it works, man. It's how it works. So I could see how simple and easy it is. So even though, I'm a very difficult spot, I know it's not real. And I know that it's going to, whatever happens, it's going to happen. And that, all right, what did I learn? Okay. And then let it go. Let go of the pain. What is it doing for you? Okay, it was a situation. What did you learn? You learned something from it. I know you did. Okay, learn it. Now let it go. Don't even think about it anymore. Let it go. Learn what you needed to, and then let it go. Does you no good. Jesus says, don't worry about yesterday. It's gone. Don't worry about tomorrow. It hasn't happened. Live right now is what he meant. Live right now. Live right now. This very second. Do what you want to do. Have fun. Go do it. Live right now. Only worry about right now. Not 5 minutes from now, not 5 hours, not even tomorrow. Live right now. Neither the past or the future exist. They're unrealistic and unreal. They don't exist.
I
Right
think
now
that's
does.
that's a perfect yeah, I think that's a perfect way to end. I usually ask you, what do you want people to know? But I feel like that was it. That was your final rally, your pep talk, and it was great. Jason, Janice, thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your insight, your experiences. You are making a difference. You are sharing your story and making a difference. So I'm
Thank you
grateful
for
for
having
you.
me.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
I'm honored. I'm deeply honored. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you so much for listening with an open heart and mind, for your likes, subscribes, leaving comments below, and sharing with like minded friends. Your support means the world, and I could not do this without you.